I would love to share the story about the man who showed up at my door. Now, this is something that has happened in many different ways. I've had many experiences with this, but this one in particular has really, really stuck with me. And so let's go back to about, I believe like 13, 14 years ago when I initially purchased this home. I live on a slightly main street. Like a lot of people do use this street to go to the neighboring town. So I'm just living my life. I get a knock at the door. I open the door and there is a man bawling his eyes out. And he was an older man. I would have been in my 30s at the time. He would have probably been maybe about 10 to 15 years older than me. So older than me. And I knew immediately by his energy. I stepped outside, closed the door, and he proceeded to say, I don't know what I'm doing here. It really freaked him out that he was even there and that he even knocked on the door. But he said I was driving by and it was like something took over my body and I just felt compelled to pull in your driveway and knock on the door. I'm going through something really, really challenging. And I said, let's sit down. So we sat down on my front step and I asked him if he was interested. I calmed him in the sense of, don't worry, sir. This is something that happens to me. I am used to this kind of thing. I don't know if you believe in psychics or people who work with the other side, but these things come to me. So this isn't my first rodeo, sir. So I said, sit down. And I then began to explain to him what was going on. I could feel all the stuck emotions in his body, in his energy, and what was transpiring in his life. He was living a life that was really incongruent with what he truly desired. And he was making a lot of decisions in his life in what he thought he should have been, and also not processing a lot of childhood trauma that he had. So it was all coming to a head, and it was really, really challenging to hold it in his body, and he didn't know how to process it because it was too much. So I gave him some tools, gave him some tricks. We did a little bit of breath work. We did a little bit of connecting. I asked him if he wanted me to clear his field a little bit, and he said yes. And he said, I've never heard of this stuff before. I don't know what's going on. Poor guy. Oh, I felt so bad for him. I really freaked him out. He was like, how do you know all this stuff? These situations can be kind of challenging because he has literally stepped into a world that is so foreign to him, and a complete stranger telling him everything about his life. That's a little freaky, right? And we spoke, I would say, for probably about a half hour, maybe 40 minutes. And then we got him to a calm state. I gave him my phone number and said, well, you obviously know where I live. If you ever need to come back, just give me a call next time. And I sent him on his way. And I never seen him again. And it's so interesting how our guides and how spirit guides us to these people and to these places, where he was literally driving past my house and his guides are like, you are seeing Natalie. And they literally took over his body. And he felt like he said, I remember he said he felt like he was possessed for a moment, and he just, was going through the motions and watching his body go through the motions, which is so, so very interesting. And yeah, that has happened multiple times throughout my life in multiple ways. It often happened because I started my career as a hairstylist. It often happened in that way, where spirit would bring them to my chair. That's a very safe and easy passageway. But it has happened a handful of times where people showed up at my door. So yeah, that's my story time. Has anyone else experienced this? Yeah, I'm really curious.